Well, here's an episode of What the Nell that I was not expecting I was going to have to make, nor do I want to make it. But here we are. This is life. Things happen. So, yeah. Hello, you guys. Welcome back to the What the Nell podcast with yours truly, Nell Tice. I needed an episode for this week, and I had a different plan. Actually ended up pushing episodes back. The Ecopreneur's Edge edition season 4 will be coming out very soon, but I felt like this was a really important episode to make, and because I think there are so many people that are going through this, and maybe we need to talk about it a little bit more. Maybe you need to hear this, but today's topic is about supporting a spouse through the grieving process. And unfortunately, so my husband Kenny and I lost his mother, my mother-in-law, very unexpectedly just over a week ago. And I'm recording this on Thanksgiving Eve, actually. Sorry for my appearance, by the way, if you're watching video. I just got a quick workout in and I was like, you know what? Now's the time. I've been thinking about recording this podcast, but I've been putting it off, honestly. I love this sweatshirt. So it's very comfy and makes me feel cozy. So it helps me, honestly get through this episode a little bit better. It is my Three Legacies Wrestling sweatshirt, if you can see this on the video. So we are supporting our friend, Jesus, who was also a guest on the podcast, very beginning episode of season 4 for What the Nell. So go ahead and check that episode out. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. I'm really just stalling at this point. About a week and a half ago, we lost my mother-in-law, and completely unexpected, literally woke up that morning, had an idea of how the day was going to go, and went to bed that night, and, life changed, as it does for so many people. And there's some things that I've learned now, having dealt with this twice. We lost my father-in-law 11 years ago, and that was unexpected as well. First, I will say that I'm not going to go into any details about, happenings or anything like that. But, there's a part of me now that is just, maybe this is part of my own grieving process. But the way that we lost both of them are in ways that no one should ever have to, no son or daughter, nobody should ever have to experience. And it's unfortunate. It's starting to feel a little like, all right, are we done? Like, is this it? Like, come on, like, please, like, let's spare these people because no one deserves this. Death sucks. It just does. No matter whether you're expecting it or you are or not expecting it, it just sucks all around. And we, as especially Western society, aren't taught how to handle it. And I don't know if there is the right teaching for handling it, because this is so personal and so individualized. So I'm refraining from titling this episode like how to or ways to, tips and tricks or things like that, because this is just my experience, and my hope for you is you're able to listen to this and just use some of my experience, keep it in the back of your mind, or hold on to that to, if you're questioning something during your own process, or, just as a reference, or just to help you feel like you're not alone, because this is a lonely feeling. And I know that, this podcast is all about entrepreneurship and business ownership, and it's always about business and having to do with that. But this death affects everything. It affects your life. It affects your business. It affects everything it's all encompassing. So I'm just going to share a few things that I've experienced the first time 11 years ago and just recently. And, I've experienced my own grieving processes for people that have died close to me in my life. But I've been I mean, yes, obviously I'm directly associated to my mother-in-law, but the people that I've lost in my past, grandparents, friends, things like that. So, this is, I'm supporting in this role. I am supporting another person who is a direct descendant of the deceased. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's how I'm looking at it. And yes, I am aware that, I too am going through a bit of a grieving process as well, because, his mother was a part of my life for, 20 years or so. So this is, yeah, here we go. So one of the first things that I noticed after everything happened was I heard a song on the radio called, you may know it if you're a 90s kid, Sonny Came Home by Sean Colvin. I am by no means a huge fan of the song. I'm not a Sean Colvin fan necessarily. I remember it growing up. It was very popular on the radio. And I heard the song, and for some reason, I just felt like an immediate sigh of relief. Like it just took me back to a time where I didn't have to worry about things like this. Death as a kid, when you experience it, is very different, I think, at least in my experience, as an adult. So, I immediately went back to the days of, riding my bike down the street with my friends, or sitting in my room listening to the song because I heard it on the radio, when I had an inflatable chair and an inflatable palm tree in my room, and I had a Spice Girls CD sitting out. Those were days back then when we thought, man, things are so dramatic and things are happening. And in that moment that I heard this song last week, I would give anything to go back to that. And man, it affects you. So I don't think there's anything wrong with leaning into a little bit of nostalgia. Play a game that you used to, watch a show, go back to those moments where you didn't have to think about things like this and just escape for a second. Escapism is real. I mean, this is, we do escapism basically every week with a radio show, and living the Jimmy Buffett lifestyle, and promoting trop rock and things like that. It's, going to that beach and going to that place that makes you feel good inside. So a little bit of nostalgia definitely helped. And I really, really told myself, I was like, I think I'm done crying. I'm not going to cry in this episode. So thank you for bearing with me, if you have made it this far. So yeah, definitely nostalgia. Next thing I want to share is how incredibly important it is to have people in your life to check in with you. Because as you are playing the supporting role here, I mean, that's really what this is about. You're constantly thinking about the other person. I don't want them to have to think about this. I don't want them to have to do that. I don't want them to do it alone. You're constantly thinking about them. But I mean, I know it's cliche, guys, but you really can't pour from that empty cup. So if you're not getting the sleep, if you're not eating right, if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't provide and give to that person the way that you could if your cup was filled. And I have several people, especially last week and still, that just check in. They check in, whether it's a text message or a phone call, to say, hey, how's it going? How are you doing? Is there anything I can do for you? Call me when this happens and we can go over this, and I can be on the phone with you so you can ask the right questions. And people and friends that they're like, they don't give you a choice when they say, hey, I'm bringing you dinner. Like, it's not a choice. Like, they're just doing it. It's a decision you don't have to make. I mean, the decision fatigue gets incredibly real through all of this. There's funeral home stuff. There's all kinds of other stuff that you have to take care of. And just to even make one less decision, I feel like is helpful, even just on my end. And, that helps me then maybe help make decisions for my husband. So, it's having that circle and those people in your life is so incredibly important. If you don't have people that can fill that role for you, I really highly recommend that you either get some new people or you go and you find them and you create and build those relationships, because it's so important. And I would do the exact same thing for them. Lean on your people, lean on your circle. And it's just so important, because that is the energy that inevitably feeds you, so that you can then provide the support that you need to your spouse. So ask for what you need. If somebody's offering, they're genuinely offering to help you. They want to do something for you. If there is something that you need, ask for it. I know, I get it. I'm one of those people that doesn't ask for anything. It doesn't ever ask for help or anything, but you have to realize how important this time is. And it's really important to do that. So when someone offers and you see something that they can do for you, ask them. Really lean on them. They're not there and offering this and not wanting to do something for you. So please take that opportunity and do that. The last thing that I really want to instill is, people, I don't talk about this. I haven't talked to anyone about this. No one has said these things to me, and I haven't really read any books about it. But what the best way is that I have found in our situation for me to support a grieving spouse is to just literally be there. Just be there. If you have to go to the funeral home, go. If you have to go help clean out some spaces in a house, go. If you have to go to an appointment with a lawyer, go. Just be there. And I'll tell you specifically last week. So Kenny has a sister, and the three of us were at the funeral home, making decisions and doing what we do as humans. They were being asked questions that maybe they didn't know the answer to right away. They had to discuss some things because, it's not just one person making these decisions, it's both of them. And they didn't, totally agree on everything, and that's to be expected. But, as the information was coming out between them and the director, I just decided to start taking notes, because, this is a lot for everyone. I mean, that they literally just lost their mother. I mean, the fact that they're even sitting upright and taking nourishment is, a feat some days. And, if I can just jump in and just do something small that I didn't even have to say anything to them, I grabbed the notepad and I grabbed a pen and I started taking notes, because maybe they won't remember some of these things that they're being told down the road. There's a lot going on. So, just taking a note or two, just some things that you can find ways to help without having to say anything. And, we were cleaning out some things in his mom's house last week, and, I just opened the trash bag. I'm opening the trash bag. They're finding things that, maybe aren't quite as, they don't need to keep. Maybe some things they do, they're making those decisions. I can't make those decisions for them. All I can do is be there to help. So I open the trash bag, and just tiny, it seems like literally the most trivial things, but I'm telling you, they actually help. And I know this because Kenny has said, just thanks for being there. And it's like, you don't have to say thank you. I should just be there. That's just what I should be doing. And this is my experience. This is what he needs. And at least that I've gotten confirmation from. Your spouse may need something different. They might need you to help, make them make those decisions, or to do other things that I haven't been doing. But this is my experience. And I so far have seen positive results from how I've been helping because I'm watching, I'm monitoring, even just something as simple as, I'll tell you a little part of our routine. Every night when we go to bed, we always put Friends on TV, always. And, that night was no different. Routine is very important to Kenny. And, the last thing that I want to do, and normalcy is very important to him. If we have something being done in the house or something like that, like he's got to clean it up right away and make it feel back to normal so that he can function normally on a daily basis. So anyway, our routine at night, we put Friends on the TV. I either read a book or I'm scrolling through my phone, and he always falls asleep every single time. Phone in hand, glasses on the lap, remote next to him, everything. And normally, because he does this, I'm like, you could just turn off the TV, right? And he's like, oh, you're watching this, and I like to fall asleep to it. So I normally just tap him, and I'm like, all right, it's time for bed. Like, let's turn everything off. He puts his phone on the charger, and we go to sleep. But that night, I was like, I am not waking him up. I just got up out of bed. I got the remote. I put his phone on the charger. I put his glasses on the nightstand, and I turned the TV off, and we went to bed. So I didn't have to disturb him. Just, little tiny things that you might think don't make a huge difference. Just do those things. Just do those tiny little things. If I could make a suggestion, and don't take that as do everything. Leave some of the normal things. Leave some dishes in the sink. Maybe leave a load of laundry. Because also I have noticed, and he has told me this, that staying busy is certainly helpful. And these are mundane things. It's not asking him to build a structure that, I've wanted to have in the house. It's not asking him to go out of his way to do something. It's just normal little things that create the sense of normalcy that you had before. And because life goes on. Life doesn't stop for all of this. We have the business and life and all of the things. We still have everything that you had before to do and to think about. So, one step at a time. And last week, it was everything. This happened on a Monday. So, it was the beginning of the week, and there were commitments and things that had to be rescheduled or, redone or put off or things like that. That's just the way it is. That's life. And, balancing the business with all of this has been interesting too. But Kenny, while still being part of this business, is also working his normal daytime job. And they've been incredibly supportive, and he's got the ability to to work out his own schedule with this, because again, it is what it is. You have to do what you got to do. And we didn't have to deal with, wills or a house or any of the big stuff, when his dad passed away. So this is all different now. And we're navigating one moment at a time. Fortunately, he's had a great experience, with his job and everything, so he can work all of that out. And me, I am totally my own boss. So, if I felt like I needed to be somewhere, I had to reschedule, or I could work at night, or I could push something off. I had an immense amount of flexibility, which I'm very grateful for. That is definitely, flexibility is a huge reason why some people go into entrepreneurship, or why most maybe do. But, that was a positive for sure. And I have clients that are amazing and so understanding, and, we were not falling behind on anything, which I'm pretty proud of. And, we're working through it, and also making sure that we take the time to allow our own grieving processes to happen. And, I'm definitely monitoring that with him for sure. Again, he's got to do this on his own. I can't necessarily speed things up. I can't slow things down. I can't make things happen for him. He's got to process this in his own way. But the best way that I know how to help is just to be there. And if he asks, then I say, yes, of course. If I see a little thing, like I mentioned, that maybe I could be doing that could be helpful without having to say, hey, do you want me to do this? Go and do that. And that I really, really think has been very helpful. So this is where I'm going to end it. I really didn't want to have this be a long episode. I want this episode to be there for you when you need it. I want it to live in your arsenal. Maybe you want to listen to this and keep this, save the episode for possibly if you need it down the road. I hope you don't, but death is a very real part of life, and we all have to deal with it at some point. So, keep this episode, save it for later. If you're going through this right now, I'm so sorry. It's not easy, but it is life, and this too shall pass, and we will get through it. This is a difficult time right now because it's the holidays, which is, it's interesting. I think we've actually embraced the holidays a little bit more just because we're looking for a little bit of brightness and happy maybe. It's interesting how you might find yourself reacting in all of this. And I know I've had a couple of surprises myself. So, just be kind to yourself, be kind to everyone. It's this, like I said, it's not easy, but treat yourself with kindness. Take breaks when you need to. Do a little yoga. Just go for a walk. So take care of yourself too. So do the best you can in supporting your spouse, but take care of yourself and support yourself as well. So I hope you found this helpful or will find it helpful. And this will be coming out after Thanksgiving. So we are officially in the thick of the holiday season. So many more episodes coming up. I have recorded a bunch. So expect all of the usual shenanigans throughout the month of December. And I can definitely tell you I'm looking forward to next year. That is faux show. So thank you so much for being here with me today. Thank you for listening. If you're on your favorite audio platform, please leave us a review. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share this with a friend. I really, really appreciate you all. And if there's any ways or any other tips or you want to talk about this, let me know. Send me a comment, a DM, email me, reach out through our website, enticingmedia.com. It's ENTICEING media.com. And also just a housekeeping note, Media Mondays, my virtual open office hour on Zoom, is happening on Monday, December 22nd at 9 a.m. Eastern. I can also include a link in the show notes in the description below. So you can sign up for that if you'd like. Bring all of your media questions, anything from literally how do I create this in Canva to how do I show up more confidently on camera. So I would love to see you there and help you out. It's a free virtual open office hour, and I can't wait. So again, thank you so much, and I will catch you on the next episode of the What the Nell podcast.